Are you stuck? Are you in a struggle or facing a hardship or entering something that seems to be adversity coming into 2025? Does it feel like, even though, during New Year's you had excitement, you said this would be your year, but as of this month, February, it doesn't seem that way, right? Do you feel like where you are is where you are behind in life? Do you feel like, financially speaking, in relationships, maybe your health, you're not where you need to be? If that's you, I invite you to stick to the end, because today I'm going to talk about this life principle that's changed my life. That is, where you are is not who you are. So welcome everyone, my name is Felipe, and today I'm gonna talk to you about this life principle. Where you are is not who you are. One key thing that I want to mention is that where you are, right, you may not be where you want to be financially. You may not be in terms of your health. You may not be where you want to be. Maybe you're not as fit. Maybe you're a little overweight, or you're not as strong as you want to be. Whatever that is, right, is where you are now, right? Maybe you might be struggling with some kind of adversity, some hardship. Maybe things aren't going the way you want them to go. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because one big mistake that many people make is that we make the mistake of confusing our current circumstance as our identity, right? So what I mean by that is, like, as an example, let's say if you play sports, if you lose your game yesterday or you lost your game today, you automatically start seeing yourself as a loser, right? When in reality, you just losing, or you just being in this situation right now does not define you, right? One amazing quote that Bishop Malcolm Williams says is that your circumstances should not define you, but should refine you, right? And I think that's so powerful, because the mistake that many people make, right, is that they confuse where they are with their identity, right? And identity is very important, because if I could share with you I want to kind of step back and maybe give a better picture of what I mean by this, because I think I am a life testimony of this principle, right? Of where you are is not who you are, right? And so as of February 2025, I'm recording this video, right? My wife and we actually just got married a couple months ago, November of 2024, right? Beyond grateful, beyond blessed, and happily married, right? And that's very important. I'll touch on that right now. But also, I'm actually inside our additional dwelling unit, right? Our back house, if you will, right? My wife and I, we actually bought a house back in December of 2023, right? About a year and some change, right? And those two things are very key, right? Within this whole story, right? Because I first want to kind of paint the picture of where I am versus where I started, right? So if we kind of backtrack, right? I have two older sisters, myself, and then a younger brother, right? If you could imagine, right, we were raised by a single mother, right? And our mom actually was born with a illness called cerebral palsy. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's essentially when you're born, your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, and so as you grow up, or as you grow older, there's like this whole domino effect. Like there's things that continue on, right? And so if you can imagine, right, there's a single mother raising 4 kids, but our mom, right, had a harder time taking care of us because she had uncontrollable hand movement. She couldn't necessarily carry us as much, right? So thankfully, and thank to God, my aunt, my our godparents, our next door neighbors would help out a lot, and thanks to them, we were able to be raised as best as possible, right? But the reason why I bring this up is growing up, we struggled financially, right? We definitely had help from the government, right? We had food stamps, we had welfare, what else? WIC, right, where they would give you every week or every other week, they'd give you milk, eggs, and cereals and all that stuff. And I have memories of us going into the office and picking up the box of Kix, right, the little circle cereal, right. And again, thinking of that, like growing up, we faced many hardships, right? We struggled. There were many things, right? If you could just imagine it. And I say this because I'm sure many of you have stories, or you can even share here some of the things that you've been through, maybe the things that you're going through right now, whether it's you yourself, your family, in your own circle, right? We all have these experiences. But the reason why I'm sharing this is because when I learned about where you are is not who you are, it changed everything for me. Because again, growing up, I wasn't really aware about this life principle, or this biblical principle. I felt like growing up, I felt like I was never enough. I felt because, our dad wasn't there as a father figure, I felt like I wasn't enough as a man, as a kid, as a boy, right? And so that really affected me, right? Our mom wasn't able to buy us new clothes every single school year, or backpacks and things like that. So we would apply to the events that the community would have, where they'd give you free clothes or backpacks or shoes, or even sometimes I remember, I think in my first grade year, for second or third, a teacher had given me a bag of clothes, and I didn't really understand what that was for, but it was hand-me-down clothes, right? And I, even within my own cousins, right, they would give us a lot of clothes, to use, right? Not understanding what that meant, but I just had this feeling that I wasn't enough. But as I became more aware, right, growing up in my 20s, I realized, well, you know what? I know there has to be something greater out there, something more. Like I'm meant for something more, right? And again, just tying in this idea of where you are is not who you are, right? I started becoming more thinking about just that finance part. Started becoming more financially aware, reading books, understanding how money works, like, right? Again, where you are is not who you are. So we grew up in struggling financially, right, having to use the government's assistance. But now, right, where where my siblings and I are, we're well off. We're better off than where we started, right? And thankfully we're now able to help care for our mom, and we're definitely doing some things in the back end. But as of like recently, right, my oldest sister just bought a house with her fiance, right? And again, like growing up, we didn't have any of this. We lived in apartments. Like I can vividly remember one time when we were growing up, my family, like my siblings and I, were living in an apartment with our other cousins. So if you can imagine us, our own little mini family, and you have another mini Latino family, right? And if you know, you know, right? Right, and we had about like 10 plus people living in a 2-bedroom apartment, right? So you had some people in one room, the other room, and then others in the living room, right? And so to think about like, man, going from that to having your own home, right? Kind of touching on a little bit about my wife and our situation, like we actually have a back house, front house, and we're actually renting out the front part, to an amazing family. But I say this because we're literally setting ourselves up to build wealth long term and to better help our kids when we do decide to have kids, right? And so I say that because where you are is not who you are, right? And I know it may seem like, well, Felipe, it's so easy for you to say that, you have this, and well, because look at you just got married, and congrats, and you and your wife support each other and this and that. But let me just tell you, again, we didn't have, like, us buying this home and fixing it up and doing all these these things to, to be where we are. I didn't get this from my mom, right? I couldn't go to her and tell her, hey mom, like, can you help us get money for our down payment or our closing costs? What's your take on, building a back house? All this stuff. Like, she has no perceived like, she wouldn't be able to give us advice, right? And again, I still love her with all my heart. We love her, but that's not something that I got from her. So there's no reason why you can be held back by any of your circumstances, right? One thing that I do want to talk about, and I just want to, without just rambling on too much, is that, and some of you are gonna get this, really, right? In the Bible, it talks about the valley of the shadow of death, right? God uses the valley to prepare you for what He has prepared for you, right? It talks about in the Bible, and sorry, I haven't memorized the verse, but it's, we were meant to walk through, right? We were meant to walk through the valley, and I say this because, again, stepping back and looking at where I am today versus where we started, where we were, I can honestly say that where you are is not who you are. Literally, God uses the adversity, the hardships that you might have been through, the ones that you're going through right now, to prepare you for what He has already prepared for you. And only, not everyone may be able to get this, but I kid you not, like, stepping back and sitting down and just realizing that God has your blessing prepared for you. You just have to go through the valley. You just have to go through the process to become the person, so that when you do get there, you can manage it and you can be a good steward. I hope that speaks to someone. I think I just had to share that with you. Let me know if that actually resonated with you. But one last thing is, and this actually brought me to tears as I was thinking about how to kind of break this down, was God is a master of hiding gold in poverty, right? And to keep it short, you are the gold. I am the gold, right? You are the blessing. You are the gift, right? And again, like, growing up, like, we struggled financially. We had many hardships. Like, we didn't own a car, so we would take the bus. But everything that we've been through, or the things that we've experienced, have taught us lessons to be more grateful for what we have, to take advantage, right, of different opportunities, right? I have many family friends who had maybe, let's say, more access to different things, or more resources, things like that, but they're not further off, right? And this isn't, really saying comparing us to them, but sometimes when you're given more, there's less that you take, there's more that you take granted of, right? So you might have, let's say you're given everything, you're given all the resources, all the opportunities, all the support, but you take it all for granted. And I see this to this day, like friends, family, other friends of friends, or their own families, they have everything in front of them, but they don't do anything with it, right? So with that, just wrapping it up, I just want to remind you, where you are is not who you are, right? Just because maybe you're going through a certain hardship, you're in a season of hardship or adversity, right? Don't confuse this moment in your 3D reality with who you are, right? You're a child of God. Your abundance is your birthright. Like, I really just hope you can take that and just take a moment, despite all the adversity you're facing, or hardships that you're going through, just realize that this moment that you're going through right now is not who you are, right? And if you keep walking through, if you keep walking through, I guarantee you that you will get what God has for you. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think of. Let me know what you thought about it. If you liked it, make sure you comment, subscribe below, and share with a friend, right? With that, thank you for watching until the end, and see you in the next one, all right?